Gal.
Hey guys, and welcome to Get a Life Podcast Kunai. It's your boy, Bish. How are you guys doing? You know what? I'm really excited because we've been putting out a lot of episodes recently, a lot of great episodes in collaboration with Crunchyroll, our sponsor. But before we get into it and before we get into the topic of discussion and actually what we're going to be talking about today on Kunai, I want to introduce our guest. You might recognize him. He's been on Galp. He's actually the right-hand man on Galp, and he's helping me today with Kunai. It's Jacob.
Hey guys, what's up?
Jacob, what are we talking about today? I know it's different for you on Kunai. Galp is different to Kunai, but what is the anime we're going to talk about today?
We are going to be talking about Jujutsu Kaisen.
Okay. And before we get into it, for you new folks, Get a Life Podcast Kunai is a monthly anime discussion podcast under the Get a Life group. Due to the nature of discussion, we can't avoid spoilers of the show to be discussed. That means for those shows that are based on an existing piece of work, whether it's manga, light novel, or some other media form, we're not covering the source material for those. If you'd like to recommend a show for us to watch and make an episode on Kunai, leave a suggestion in our Discord. That's getalifepodcast.com/Discord. Big thanks to our sponsors, Japan Crate and Crunchyroll. And I will say this again, big thanks to Crunchyroll, because Crunchyroll have really helped us out over the years when they started to sponsor Kunai from the very beginning. But also now, I keep on saying this, when you guys support our sponsors, they support us. And Crunchyroll have been doing that, and we're really gracious about it, because I don't know if you guys know this, we're covering Jujutsu Kaisen. Jacob already said that, but there will be a second episode with me and Jacob covering Jujutsu Kaisen 0, the film. And obviously we've had the opportunity to watch the film before the theatrical release, as well as attend press screenings in London. So big thanks to Crunchyroll for that. I love you guys. Jacob, I'm pretty sure you love Crunchyroll as well.
I do. Oh my god, Crunchyroll's my favorite.
Thank you. I'm not forcing you to say that, but you know what? Crunchyroll is a great service. So, but yeah, Jujutsu Kaisen. For those that don't know, it's a pretty big show. It is a pretty big show. It's based on a Japanese manga series, illustrated and written by Jiji Akutami, and it was serialized in Weekly Shonen Jump since March 2018. It got its first anime release in October 2020, directed by Sung-Hoo Park and animated by Studio Mappa. For those that don't know, Studio Mappa, they took over Studio Wit from Attack on Titan, and they also did, I can't remember what other stuff did Mappa do. I'm trying to think. Kakegurui, if you guys don't remember that, we talked about it on Kunai. They did Attack on Titan, they did Jujutsu Kaisen, and Yuri on Ice as well. Oh, and also they did the animations that were seen in Persona 5 Royal. So yeah, let's just get into it. Jacob.
Yes, that's me.
That is you.
Yes.
What did you think of Jujutsu Kaisen? How did you get involved in it? Because for me, I really want to get into my opinions, but because you're new to Kunai, I want to know, how did you get into Jujutsu Kaisen? How did you find out about the show? And did you watch it originally when it was simulcasted?
Alrighty, so originally I think I found out about Jujutsu Kaisen when I would see one of the most iconic characters everywhere. I don't know if you want me to name him right now, or
yeah,
if I should.
You can name him. You can name him.
Okay, so my dear Satoru Gojo, he was everywhere, and I mean everywhere. Like, I saw him on Twitter, I saw him on Instagram, I saw him on name the platform, I saw him on there. And I was like, where is this guy from? And then it was like, I googled him, and I found out about Jujutsu Kaisen, and I was like, this looks so cool. Like, that ass, it looks so cool. And then actually my friends actually like asked me like, do you want to watch it? And then I watched like the first two episodes with them, and then for some reason we just stopped because we didn't like find any more time to like watch it together. But well, here I am. I finished the whole first season.
And what was your sort of first impressions of the show when you were watching it initially? Did anything stick out to you? Were you hooked from the beginning?
My first impression was, and I wrote it down like this, literally stylish as fuck.
Okay, all right. Stylish as fuck. That's reasonable. So with the show being stylish, was that one of the reasons where you're like, you know what, I can fuck with this show?
Definitely, yeah. Here's the thing. I saw like the character designs and it was like, this is cool. But then I watched like the first episode and it was like, oh, this is cool.
So it was the designs that brought you in, and then you kind of got reeled in by just how awesome the show was.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I think usually it's the character designs that like pull me in, or the aesthetic.
I think that's the case with a lot of anime fans, especially this generation, because there's a lot of people that I know that I'll suggest an older show to them and they're like, oh, you know what, I'm not really into that aesthetic, and they won't watch the show because of it. Personally, that is a pet peeve of mine, because I used to be like that. I used to be like one of those people that was like, this show looks old, I'm not gonna watch it. My taste in anime has changed, but for me, everyone that watches kunai knows that I'm not really into shonen anime, right? I'm not a big fan of shonen. In fact, it's like my least favorite genre, and that sort of changed during coronavirus and during the pandemic. Because you're getting paid to stay at home a lot of the time, because this came out during lockdown, literally like right in the midst of lockdown it came out, and I was like, well, I've got nothing to do, and I was really depressed. I'll be real with you, like I was really depressed, and I was like, normally I watch a lot of romance anime, I watch a lot of slice of life, but it's very difficult during coronavirus pandemic to watch a slice of life where anime characters are going outside and speaking to friends and interacting, and it makes you really depressed because it's like, I can't do that.
I do agree on that.
So exactly. So it's like, for me, I was like, I want a change in pace. I heard about Jujutsu Kaisen. I did not watch it because if you guys know me, and after how many years of kunai, you probably realize this, but I don't watch popular shows as they're aired because I don't like to get involved with the community, and sometimes I find that if I do watch a show as it's airing, or like if it's like something like Demon Slayer, right? I didn't watch Demon Slayer simulcasted. I didn't watch Attack on Titan simulcasted. I didn't watch Jujutsu Kaisen simulcasted and even My Hero Academia, for the reason being because I don't want to be caught up in the hype, right? Because sometimes a show can be overhyped and you really can't think about it on a critical level. Do you see what I mean? I didn't want that with Jujutsu Kaisen, and I heard so many things about it. And you know what it was for me that really wanted me to get into watching the show was also the aesthetics. We'll get into it when it comes to art style and animation and that kind of stuff, but just a little point, I was seeing this advertised everywhere, right? It was being advertised on Crunchyroll, the dub was being advertised on Funimation, it was even on like billboards. Like there was a lot of clothing brands that were doing collaborations with Jujutsu Kaisen in Japan and in the UK. I mean, like Uniqlo, there was like a whole sort of brand, because do you have Uniqlo in Austria?
I forgot if we have Uniqlo in Austria, but I can tell you that I actually have like two or three of the Jujutsu Kaisen t-shirts.
Oh, wow. Okay. Did you buy that before watching the show, or?
Yeah. Like I got that like when it came out like last year. When was it? Like May or June, I think. And I was like, this looks so cool.
And that's the thing. So I knew more about the show because there was a point in which that merch came out, and I didn't watch it simulcasted, but then when the merch came out, I was like, yo, this looks sick.
Yeah.
I want to watch the show because the merch is fucking fire. And Uniqlo, if you're listening, first of all, sponsor us. Second of all, bravo with that merch. It looks fucking crazy.
I think that like all of the Gojo stuff was like sold out immediately because he's incredibly popular. He's an icon.
We'll get into that later on in the show, but it's very odd. Like I've never had this unique experience in which buying clothing, buying anime merch or looking at anime merch would actually get me to watch an anime.
Yeah.
It's really weird because guess what? Same thing happened with Demon Slayer because it's Uniqlo's fault, right? Uniqlo is the reason I'm watching anime now. I know it sounds really lame, but that was literally the reason, because they've put so much hype into it, which is cool. I will say this, going back onto the point of watching it during the pandemic, it was very difficult for me. Like I was incredibly depressed during pandemic, and I was just like, you know what? I want to watch a shonen show, because shonen shows, I think, are very interesting because they give you a level of hope, a level of strength, because a lot of the time your protagonist is incredibly weak and you see them grow, and there's a lot of character development in general in shonen. I didn't want to have conversations about Jujutsu Kaisen or anything like that. I just wanted to watch a show in which I can forget my problems, in which I don't have to think about the real world, because the real world outside during that time was incredibly terrifying, incredibly scary, and sometimes you want to watch a show that is completely different to all of that, and Jujutsu Kaisen delivered. So for me, I was incredibly intrigued by it, incredibly fascinated by it. It was actually on my Crunchyroll watch list for a while, because you know Crunchyroll, when you watch a few shows, it will suggest something to you, right? So during the pandemic, I was watching One Punch, I was watching Mob Psycho 100, both seasons, and it suggested Jujutsu Kaisen. And I think the reason being is because there's a lot that is taken from those kind of shows. It's pretty similar in terms of that sort of dark fantasy style show. But yeah, I think I was pretty hooked from the show, like from the beginning. I don't know what brought me to it. Like aesthetics, maybe, art style, maybe, but mostly like just the way the show was structured and things like that. I want to know, Jacob, what were your favorite episodes and moments in Jujutsu Kaisen?
One of my favorite episodes was definitely, I think it was the very first one actually, because I thought it was like so, like there was so much going on in the episode, right? You got Yuji, just like you see him like in his everyday life. I feel like that's one of like the few glimpses that you get in like his normal life, and then like it goes to like him visiting his granddad who then passes away, and then the whole like everything like just like changes in like a second, right? Like they go to retrieve the finger and save Yuji's friends, and then he's like fuck it, and then he just like swallows Sukuna's finger, and like everything happens, like every single fucking thing that you can imagine happens in this one episode. And I thought it was like, I was like just like I was sitting there like, what the fuck just happened? Like,
yeah.
And apart from that though, I think some other of my favorite moments in general were definitely whenever Toto, you know, the big guy, would start like asking like, what's your type of women, or what's your type of girl, right? Like the fucking fetish fights. I was like, whenever those happen, I was like, I should dislike this guy, but he's hilarious to me.
There's a charm to him, and it's very interesting that you mentioned episode 1, because for me that was a definite what the fuck moment, because so much happened in that episode.
Exactly.
And it felt really odd to me in a sense, because it was just like, okay, cool, it set up everything for like Sakuna's finger. It sort of brought the whole cursed objects thing to point, right? But we never see the occult members again of the occult club. We never see the school again. We don't see Yuji's past life, and there was just so many things that were taken out of context. Like, okay, cool, it felt like they were there and they needed to be there as like a Deus Ex Machina to sort of progress the story along. I'm not gonna lie, I love the episode because it gave us a lot of context, but the fact that straight after the episode it goes straight into business, and I'm like, okay, cool, what happened to these characters? What happened to the granddad? What the fuck is the granddad talking about? Is he just an old man that's just saying bullshit because he's dying? Or does he have some other thing? Like, as I was watching the previous episode, like the other episodes after episode 1, I was thinking, is the granddad a sorcerer? Like, does he do jujitsu? Like, that's what I was wondering.
Here's the thing. I was suspecting that there was something with Yuji's family going on, because he really doesn't, I don't think he knew his mom, and well, he's not really close with his dad, like, and you only see his granddad for like a few minutes and then he passes away. I forgot if it was before or after the granddad died. I think it was before, but you know, when the PE coach from the sports club like asks Yuji to like face him in some kind of challenge, and like they do this ball throwing thing, and like the coach like throws it like, I don't know, like what was it, 18 meters or something, and Yuji like throws it like all the way across the yard and like even breaks the world record. I'm like, this guy has some hidden powers, and like after swallowing the finger, I feel like that really showed. There's something to Yuji that we don't know yet,
and this is the thing, it's not something that is explained at all.
Exactly.
At least yet. And it's interesting, but at the same time, it's like, how much longer can we handle it? Because after watching every episode, I'm like, okay, who the fuck is Yuji? Like, to handle all of this shit, like to be Sakuna's vessel, right?
Yeah.
it isn't easy on a person, and he takes a lot of shit because of it, and he gets beaten the fuck up, right?
Exactly.
And he goes through a lot of training, and I'm like, okay, no ordinary person could handle this, but why is Yuji able to handle it? And I think that was a driving force for me. I mean, in terms of figuring out the puzzle piece, like what the fuck is going on with Jujutsu Kaisen. And for me, like, there are other favorite episodes. Like, one of my other favorite episodes is when you meet the other first year students, Nobara.
Oh yes. Oh my god, I love her.
I'll talk about her more in characters, but that episode, I loved it so much because when they're trying to split up and search for the curse, it's kind of like this sort of Scooby-Doo thing, right? It felt like this was because it's like their practice mission, right?
Yeah.
But there was so much tense emotion like during that episode. Like, you didn't know what the fuck was going on, and it puts you on your toes and it gives you that thrill, like a psychological thrill. Like, I kind of got the Mob Psycho vibes from it, mainly because everything was dark. I kind of felt that the room that they were in when they were fighting the curse, I wanted to say demon because I've been watching Demon Slayer, but when they were fighting the curse, like, the floorboards were like, they looked a little bit damp, and I could feel that maybe the room was a little bit moldy. Like, it's the atmosphere in that episode and the fact that it's tense. I don't know, it was just mad just to see that happen. That was one of my favorites because of that. And, you know, saving that boy, you know, and rescuing Nobara, and you have Yuji coming and smashing through the wall.
Yeah.
It is intense, and I'm like, yes. And that episode, and I think one of the reasons that I like it is because you get that tense emotion, you get that atmosphere from the animation, but then you also get that action, right?
Exactly. It's so balanced. Like it gets like all the way, like, I guess not hyped up, but, you know, like, it gets you like in this emotion where it's like
it builds anticipation.
It's exactly like it builds, and it's like, oh, like, I guess the climax is about to be reached, and then it's like there's like something happening, and it's like, holy shit, like what like it throws you off guard in a way, you know. And you know what actually I loved about the Nobara episode, actually, like, when they're in this whole house thing, Nobara goes into the room, right? And she sees all these mannequins, and for some reason I am obsessed with mannequins being used as some type of horror image, and that reminded me of the second Silent Hill movie, because they also got like they got this mannequin monster, and so it reminded me a bit of that. And she immediately knew that it was the mannequin right in the middle, like right in front of her. I don't know, like, she was just like, that's it. Like, she was like, are you gonna move or not? Like, I'm gonna kick your ass.
You know what? I think with Nobara's sort of, what are they called? They're the straw dolls, right? They have a special name in Japanese, but I can't remember. But they're like voodoo dolls, right? I thought it was really, really interesting because it was like, it adds to the level of creepiness, if that makes sense. It adds to the idea of curses because, you know, voodoo is a type of curse, right? And she's using cursed magic and like cursed weaponry, and I thought that was really interesting. And even with like Megumi, right? The fact that he uses what was like cursed weaponry, and like he can summon curses like animals and stuff, which I thought was pretty cool. Like, each character has their own like defined thing, if that makes sense. And we got that sense of it, or a glimpse of it, in that episode. And I think the first sort of couple of episodes, the introductory episodes, let's say, into the show, were, I would say, one of my favorites, because we got to see a lot of character development. We got to see Yuji, how he fights. And we also got to see Gojo as, you know, this sort of, I don't know, teacher, if that makes sense, right?
I mean, yeah, he's essentially their teacher, yeah.
Yeah, and I thought that was pretty cool. Like, we got to see a lot of all the different characters, and we got to see some beautiful scenery as well, which I'm not gonna lie, I think were pretty cool. I'm trying to think of any other favorite moments. Do you have any other favorite episodes or moments?
You remember, oh my god, the blonde guy with the goggles.
The salary man.
Yeah. Maybe you remember, but like, I think it was like his like first few scenes where it like shows him, and he's like, he says like, work is shit, and like, Jujutsu sorcerers are shit. And I was like, work is shit. I resonate with that. Apart from that, though, I also really enjoyed when Junpei and Yuji became friends, because I feel like that was like one of the most wholesome ways of becoming friends. They meet each other, and then they're like on the riverbank, right?
Yeah.
And like Yuji meets Junpei's mom, and like she invites him like for dinner and stuff, and they're having like a blast. And that was like one of the cutest scenes, I think, in the whole.
That was a great scene. Like, I really liked that sort of mini arc, because it was nice in the sense that we kind of got a break from all the fighting, right?
Exactly.
We got to see the wholesome nature of the characters, and the fact that Yuji is not just this fucking machine that like beats the shit out of curses, right? That he actually cares, he wants to have friends. He's just a regular high school student at the end of the day, right? And he's getting pulled into this drama, but he also wants to help people, and that's great. I will say this though, that it is pretty much a trope of a lot of shonen anime. We see it in My Hero Academia with Deku, that he wants to sort of be that hope for everyone. I don't think Yuji wants to be the hope for everyone, but I think he just wants to live a regular life, if that makes sense.
I think he wants to save the ones who can be saved.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, I don't think it's like a Demon Slayer type situation where it's like Nezuko.
Not at all.
No, but it's more so like he sees a guy that, you know, basically he could tell that he's being bullied and that kind of stuff, and he kind of relates to that, and he found something that was, and this is something I thought was really interesting, the fact that he's watching all of these movies and he gets an opportunity to like talk about, right? Because he was in isolation for how long after faking his own death, you know? That was an interesting episode. I think I liked all the episodes in Jujutsu Kaisen. I don't think there was an episode that I disliked or anything like that. But I preferred the episodes in which you get a lot of character development. You kind of get that in the beginning with, you know, the introductory episodes, but you also get it with, I would say, the tournament arc. It's not really a tournament arc, but you know, where they're fighting in the forest, right? Against the Kyoto school. And what I liked about that is because they sort of painted them as villains to begin with. And then through the fighting, each character gets like a mini character development arc, right? We learn about Maki's family. We learn about Panda. Like, what the fuck? Like, I thought Panda was just a panda. Like, that was fucking badass.
Dude, I was legit. I was like, from the beginning, I was like, oh my god, panda, like I'm gonna love this one just because they're a panda. And then turns out they didn't just make Panda like a fighting bear, but they actually gave him a backstory. They made him an actual character. And that's something where I was like, oh my god, I'm so happy, because sometimes the most appealing looking side characters are just side characters, but Panda got like everything. Like, he got the whole treatment. He got like lore, he got skills, he got a mad transition from normal bear to fucking Pandatron, let me say it like that.
He transformed into Harambe.
Deadass. And he's like, at the end, he was still like, you know, when he fought Mekamaru, he was like, I would never judge you based on your appearance because I'm a literal panda and I will help you like for the future. And I was like, this is the type of character I love, and I'm so happy they actually like gave him something that the viewers can work with, rather than just like making him like the gullible, lovable panda who has like uber human strength because he's a panda.
You know what? I'll get into it a little bit with characters, but I will say this about Panda. The Panda arcs have been like my favorite, because once again, you get to learn so much about Panda. You go back in time. That's another thing I like about the show's story, because I think we've sort of transitioned into story now, but what I like about the show's story is that there is a shit ton of character development, shit ton, and it's great because you don't always get that in shonen shows. You don't always get that focus on every character, and I think it's paced well. Yes, I will say this, I did mention it before, there's certain things that I do want to know more about, like what the fuck is going on with Yuji's granddad, but at the same time, the show gives you so much, can be hard to focus on what you actually want to know about, because I want to know about Yuji's past. I want to know why Yuji is incredibly strong even without Sukuna, right?
Yeah.
I want to know what's going to happen with the curse fingers. Like, what would happen if he ate all of the fingers, for example? I know Sukuna would come back, but then what would happen to Yuji? Because Yuji shows incredible strength. You know, he's able to resist Sukuna.
He's literally like, you get back. You shut the fuck up, Sukuna. Like, it's still my body. Like, know your place.
Exactly, and I don't think Sukuna was expecting that when he was thinking, about a vessel, but he's an incredibly strong vessel for Sukuna, which I think was incredibly interesting. But like I said, there's so much that I want to know more about in this show, right? There's just so much.
Yeah,
I think
same.
Because they give you so much information, it sort of makes you forget about what you want to know, because the information that they're presenting to you is incredibly thoughtful and is incredibly interesting, because side characters like Panda, as you said, shouldn't be that interesting as a character. It's kind of like in Tekken, right? That you have a novelty character. When I first saw Panda, I was like, what the fuck? Why is there a panda in this anime? And I sort of laughed about it, and I was like, you know what? I'm not taking this show seriously because there's a fucking fighting panda. This isn't Tekken. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
I kind of got that sort of Tekken wacky vibe. And then when I saw his backstory, and when I don't know, I think I don't want to get into it until we get into characters, but Panda is just an incredible character, and I really, really, really loved his story arcs.
Me too.
So, but yeah, in terms of the show and how it's like structured, I think it's quite interesting in the sense because each character has their own mini arc, right? Even the most boring ass characters or the most useless characters still have their arcs, and it makes them like I did not give a fuck about Mekamaru. I did not give a single fuck. He seemed so boring, like this wooden bamboo guy. Like I did not care about Mekamaru until I learned about his story, and until I saw that basically he was in isolation. He couldn't go outside because of his medical condition or something like that.
Literally, his body will be like burnt if he like gets like lit on by the sun.
So he has like a sun allergy. But when I saw that, when I was watching, and this is I think was very thoughtful in terms of story. Yeah, they couldn't have predicted Corona, but when I saw Mekamaru, I was like, shit, I'm not in the same position, but
it's a similar one.
It's a similar position. Like I'm also fucking stuck inside, and I think everyone else watching was stuck inside because as this was airing, it was in the midst of the pandemic. So we could all sort of relate to Mekamaru in a way, and I think episodes like that really help with character development, but also just help drive the show forward because they could have done that arc without any of that. And it's possible. They could have done that arc without any of that, but when you see these characters get beaten up later on in the show, and it's not necessarily for the show's benefit this season. I mean, it was nice to see that these type of episodes occurring, but when you see a second season or a third season, or when we watch the film and you see these characters get into fights, and you see these characters open up more, you'll appreciate that character development and that world building that's occurring in the first season. And some people might sort of think of it as shit, oh, why are we getting all of like, I don't want to know about Mekamaru, I don't want to know about Panda, I don't want to know about, but they're incredibly integral to the story because everything is, I don't know, like it's weird for shonen anime to be like this, but everything sort of is pieced together like a puzzle. Everything is linked to one another. I think it works really well, and because of that, the show flows incredibly well. I will say this though, pacing in the show, because of how dramatic it can be at times, is odd because it's like a 22-minute show, but every time I'm watching it, it feels as though the episode is an hour long, right? It's kind of got that sort of drama TV show style to it, if that makes sense. You do have your comedic moments in the story, but it doesn't take away from what's going on. It doesn't take away from the main point of the story. Like I said, like there's moments in which you see Gojo, right? The classic meme of Gojo like running around, you know, with the pink background. But that moment doesn't take away from everything else Gojo does, right? Exactly. It doesn't take away from everything else that's currently going in the show. It's like I rarely see that because sometimes, at least with shonen shows, when they put jokes in, it's like haha, it's like the joke goes on for too long.
Yeah.
The jokes in the show are there to aid the story. A lot of jokes in dramas and in TV shows in general, they're called cutaway gags, so they're cutting away from the story. But I find that the jokes actually help give the story some structure. They're related to the story, if that makes sense. Like even the joke where you had, what was it, that punching curse? that was punching the shit out of Yuji, right? When he was trying to sleep. That was it was funny. It was hilarious, but it was integral to the story because Yuji has to learn from the films. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's stuff like that.
That punching curse, I wasn't even in Yuji's place, and that curse annoyed the shit out of me.
Why was that? Why did the curse annoy you?
Because I was always like, can you let Yuji fucking talk? Like I was always like, oh my god, let the man speak, god damn it. And that at some point I was also like, god, I know that if I was in Yuji's place right now, I would probably fucking throw that shit. Like I would get up and just throw this shit out and just keep watching the movies by myself, even though I know Gojo didn't want me to do that.
Yeah, but the thing is, how could you do that? Because you're locked in the room with that thing, underground, presumably. How the fuck could you get away with that? And Gojo would know. I have a feeling Gojo could sense it.
I would summon Sukuna and be like, eat this motherfucker up, I don't want him around. For me personally, this guy was so annoying.
Speaking of annoying, let's talk about characters. That was the weirdest segue, but you know what? I will say something. I loved all the characters in this show. Is that a fair assumption to make with you as well?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I don't think there's like a single character where it's like, I hate him or I hate her. Because here's the thing. I was this might go a bit field, but for the longest time when I was little, I would watch Naruto a lot, and I was used to the whole dynamic between you have the protagonist, you have the protagonist is not that cool, then you have the cool guy, and then you have the female character in the team, and she doesn't like the protagonist, but she likes the cool guy. And I was expecting something like that with Yuji and Nobara.
Yes.
Where it was like,
okay,
they met up for the first time, and I was like, okay, like I saw that she was like, let me just say she was a bit of a bitch. Yeah, right?
Okay.
And as the episode like progresses, I realized that she's just as much of a dork as Yuji. Like legit, she's like like she's so fucking dorky in a way where it's like it's not forced. Like they're not forcing her to be this dorky girl. It's literally like this is her character. And that's what I appreciated so much, because I was ready to be like, whenever she would appear on screen, I would be like, oh my god, go away. But like in every scene she appeared after, I was like, yes, girl, oh my god.
And you know something about Nobara, because Nobara, right? I fucking love the character Nobara, and I think the reason being is because she is initially presented as the bitch, and I think that's sort of a bait and switch, right? Because they initially present her that way, and you're like, oh, this character's gonna be a fucking drag. I don't want to see her, that kind of stuff, right? And they present her that way initially, and then they open her up a bit, and you see the dynamic between her and Yuji, and the jokes that she makes. And it's funny that you mentioned that she is a dork, right? Because I'll be real with you, Jacob, especially in shonen shows, you mentioned this before with Naruto, but especially in shonen shows, women aren't always well represented.
Yeah, I know.
And that's the truth. And it's because of the nature of a shonen show, right? It's very male focused. Women are often sort of the sideline, or they're seen as sort of hypersexualized.
Yeah.
Right? And we don't see that with Nobara. And I think what's great about that is because Nobara is a fucking badass.
Exactly.
First of all, which we rarely see, because how many shonen anime that you see that have women, right? Let's take Naruto for an example. The amount of people that shit on Sakura as a character in Naruto, and they say she's fucking useless, she's this, she's that. The amount of people that like shit on female characters in anime, and you have Nobara that's sort of breaking the mold, right? Nobara she's a badass character. I want to be like Nobara. I look at Nobara and I'm like, I want to be like you, like
I want to be as confident and like as much of a badass as she is. Because here's the thing, like I was like thinking they're gonna like show her and she's like the bitch that can't back it up, and boy could she back it up. Oh my god, like I was like at some point, like she might, like I don't want to say she might be like more powerful than Yuji, because you know he got the fucking Sukuna thing going on.
I was thinking the same,
but like she is like holy fuck, like girl, fuck it up.
What I was worried about initially is that as soon as I saw her introduced and I saw the dorkiness of the character, I was like, okay, this is great, because not all characters are like these perfect beings, right?
Exactly.
In anime. And when I saw her dorkiness, I was like, oh my god, I'm a fucking dork too. Like, I related to her so much. Like, she has so much fucking confidence. It's unreal. Like, even when she has confidence in herself as well. I think that's very important as a character, as a role model as well, because there's so many times in which she's talking about herself and she just has fucking confidence. And even though other people might like, I can't remember if it was Maki or like Maki's sister, where they were basically like, I can't remember, it was the thing about the uniform. They were talking about the uniforms, and she was having so much confidence in herself and her image. And I was like, you know what, you do you, Nobara, you do you, because
exactly.
I know I'm not that confident. So I'm happy to see that great representation. And I think as well, it's just the fact that Nobara is just, I mentioned this before, but she's a badass. Like her moves are great. The thing with the straw doll, the nails as well, like even the way she's animated.
Can we fucking talk about the forest fight she had with the girl from, I think, Kyoto? And she literally whipped out a fucking rubber hammer because she didn't want to kill her. I was like, oh my god, I'm obsessed with this.
It was fucking mad. It's like, that's what I'm saying, that you see that level of dorkiness that came out, like the rubber mallet, like what the hell?
Yeah, and it was just like, because she's like, okay, I cannot kill her, so I'm just gonna fuck her up.
But she fucked her up with the rubber mallet. Which I love, because this is the thing, right? If you saw that in any other anime, right, a character bringing out a rubber mallet, you're like, oh my god, she's just a comic relief character. And yes, she has the most funniest moments in the show, Nobara as a character, but I don't feel, and this is what I love about the writing of the characters on the show, I don't feel that she is the comic relief. Like, if, for example, we compare it to Persona, right?
Yeah.
Chie, I would say her closest sort of counterpart in Persona would be Chie, right? Chie Satonaka. But the difference between her and Chie is that Chie is treated like a joke.
Yeah.
Like, there are times in which people are like, oh, you know what, Chie's goofy. And then they just leave her be. They don't give her that respect. And I like the fact that Nobara can still make jokes, and she lands the jokes, by the way.
Exactly.
And yet she's not considered this goofy character, because when it comes to fighting, she knows what she's doing, right?
Exactly.
And also, in terms of strategy, during that fight with Mai, she was very strategic. And, you know, I know, look, we have other characters to talk about, but I'm just going to say this straight off the bat. My favorite character in this show is Nobara. 100%.
Really?
100%, because like I mentioned before, it's very rare in anime in general, but even more so, very rare in a shonen series.
Yeah,
that we
definitely
see incredibly strong women that aren't butts of jokes, right?
Yeah.
She's not the punchline. She's the one doing the punching, you know? So I really do appreciate that. And I think for people watching in general, like, if there's a lot of people that like the show or whatever, I think they can look towards Nobara as a role model, because sometimes I look at the shows and I'm like, you know, if I'm watching My Hero Academia, I'm like, oh, you know what, All Might, he's the role model of the show. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But for me, it's Nobara, just because of how great of a character she is. In terms of other characters, I think the rest of the characters in the show are great, but some really notable ones like Panda. Panda's a side character. We don't see Panda until like halfway through the show, but
yeah,
god damn, Panda's so good. There's something about Panda.
I love Panda.
Like, for me with Panda, like, Panda's very human, almost.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Because he has the level of, well, yes, he can speak, he can understand like a human, but he's very self-aware. He knows he's a panda, right?
Yeah.
And he knows there's challenges that come with that. But at the same time, he still engages in intellectual conversations. And it's weird, because people don't treat him like he's a dumb panda. People treat him as if he's a human being. Initially, to the point where I thought, when I saw Panda, I thought, is this a guy in a panda suit? Is this a guy that had his brain transplanted with a panda? Like, is this an experiment in which, you know what I mean? Because sometimes you do get that in certain shows.
Definitely, yeah.
So I thought that initially, but clearly no. He's a cursed corpse, right?
Yeah,
so,
he's well, cursed corpse. Yeah, I think that's what it's called, right? I would honestly, I would probably more call it like a cursed doll, really, because essentially, like, of course he's a panda, but like I do think he's like an actual panda, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe he's a cursed corpse that was brought into the world with emotions. That's what the description is.
But he is a living, breathing panda.
Yeah, he is. And one thing that really like made me so happy was the fact that he's not like the panda that's just like the mediator between people, and like as soon as like somebody starts fighting, he comes in and it's like no fighting, or like he gets into a fight and he like immediately like gets sent flying, you know, like the comedy relief characters in anime. But instead they like he's so powerful. Like he's like legitimately powerful. And that's where I was like, oh my god, I'm so happy, because he's not just like this, I don't want to say dumb character, but like he's not just this character that like is super adorable, but that's all they're really there for. And I was so happy about that. And I think I mentioned this before, but like, oh my god, I'm so happy. And I love Panda.
Okay, look, Jacob, I want to talk about Junpei. Yes. Because I'm pretty confused, right? Because we saw him in the classroom, and I was like, is he alive? Is he coming back? Like, because he was transfigured into that weird curse thing.
Yeah.
And he dies, and he was an incredibly interesting character.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, his mom died for nothing, he died for nothing, and I was like, oh, are we gonna see more of him? because we do see, like, we see him in the show's like opening sequences and ending sequences as well. You know, when they're like eating like a bento in the park or something. And I thought, okay, maybe he would be playing more of a prominent character role in the show, but he dies.
Yeah.
I thought that was a bit shit. And this is another issue.
It was really shit. It was really shit. I'm not gonna lie.
I didn't like that, and that's an issue that I have with Jujutsu Kaisen, because they focus on so much, right? We don't get closure on certain things. We didn't get closure about Yuji's granddad. We didn't know what happened to the occult club afterwards. We never hear from them again, even though they were the one that found Sukuna's finger, and we might think, okay, maybe they can help find other fingers. Like, that's what I was thinking what might happen and might go on. Same way with Junpei. I thought that we were going to see Junpei team up with the curses, right? Mm-hmm. You see what I mean? Like, because he was learning about it. Those sort of bullies that, bullied him ended up dying.
Yeah.
And then he faced the same fate. And you could see how much Yuji cared about him.
Yeah.
And then literally straight away, Yuji forgets about it. It's not like he forgets about it, but like 1 or 2 episodes after, they never talk about it again.
Some episodes later on, I think he does still think back on him, because he doesn't want anyone really to die. Like, he wants to save the ones who can be saved. And I think some episodes later, he still thinks back on Junpei, but I also think at that point, I'm pretty sure that he had actually accepted that Junpei had died. Which again, I was pretty bothered by Junpei actually dying, because I was like, this guy, he appears in the first opening, and I think maybe also the ending, and I was like, oh, this is gonna be a character, a recurring character. Turns out he's not. He's there for how many episodes was it? 2 or 3 episodes, and then he dies, I think.
Yeah, and that was quite weird for me, because I was like, why?
I was like, how are they gonna bring him back? Turns out they're not bringing him back. I was like, what?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. We don't get much information
I was so bothered.
Afterwards. Exactly, and that was something that really pissed me off. I was like, why? But I think it's because of the way the show is structured. There's so much content to go over that they're like, you know what, let's forget about it. We need to go on to the rest of the
I agree.
shonen fights. And that's one of the issues with the show, is just the fact that there is so much, and especially so much for a 24 episode anime, which it doesn't make much sense, because technically you could sort of split this show into 2 seasons if you wanted to. 2 seasons of 24 episodes, but I think probably because this is the first season of Jujutsu Kaisen, they want to put in as much as possible, so then they can, especially because this is a Shonen Jump manga. Shonen Jump mangas go on forever, right? So
exactly,
they're like, shit, we have a shit ton to cover. Let's just put all of the good stuff in the first season, so that when the second season comes around, we have basically enough hype to generate money for a second season. That's what I think happened here. But yeah, other than that, other characters that I really, really did enjoy, like I said, so many characters got character development. Maki and Mai, and the character development between the two. Obviously, Maki not having any powers, which is sort of a trope in these sort of anime that have, supernatural abilities and stuff like that.
That reminded me, I'm sorry to go back to it, but once again, that reminded me of Naruto, of Rock Lee, because he cannot use ninjutsu, he can only use taijutsu, which is his own physical body. He's not able to actually use any other jutsu than something that involves his body itself, so that kind of reminded me of him.
The thing is, it's a recurring trope in shonen anime, and I think a lot of people that I've spoken to have concern with the fact that Jujutsu Kaisen, that there's just a lot of recurring character tropes, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of unique characters like Panda, like Nobara, like Toge Inumaki, the guy that says shake, or the rice, that guy, Gohan, shake,
Kelp.
the guy that, the guy that basically lists out sushi ingredients, right?
I was like, what is going on here?
Yeah, but it's interesting because every character has, so there are those unique characters there, but then you also got the characters that are very cliche, right? Yuji in himself is a very cliche character. He gains power from he doesn't have power, he gains power from someone else, and he has a mentor, right?
Well, we don't know if he doesn't have.
Well, we don't know, but in the same way, I mean, looking at it just from first season, you can assume that, right? Because it's like that in My Hero Academia. It's like that in, other shows as well. Like, so many other shonen shows are like that. You've got, in the same way, Maki. If you look at Maki, no powers, but, just like Rock Lee, just like, what's his name, Deku in Boku no Hero, just like other characters in, like, even in Attack on Titan, like Armin, right? He can't use a Titan, he gains the Titan powers, but that's not the point. But like I'm saying, the show has the mix of tropes and just unique characters. And I think, as you mentioned earlier, there is a balance between the two. Because if you have all unique characters, like, it becomes too much, right? It feels a bit overwhelming. If everyone in this show were all powerful, then how would battles go out? Do you know what I mean? How would you end a battle if everyone was just powerful, right? You need to see weakness. You need to see regular characters. And there was one character, I think her name is Kasumi?
Oh, Miwa.
Yeah.
Useless Miwa.
Yeah. See, it's funny that you mentioned useless, right? That's also, once again, it is also a trope in anime as well, because so many other characters, people like, useless Sakura in Naruto, or in Konosuba.
No, she literally calls herself Useless Miwa, though. That's the thing.
She calls herself that because she believes that. She's much more than that, because her powers are pretty badass.
Yeah.
Like, the difference between her and Nobara, right, in the sense that Nobara has so much confidence, right? And then
Kasumi doesn't have any.
Kasumi has negative confidence, right? and it does affect her proficiency with her weapons.
Yeah, she's like, oh, my sword has been stolen and broken, so now I am nobody.
Exactly. And it's unfortunate, because it's like, she's a great character. Yes, she's also a trope.
She's really sweet.
She's a sweet character. She's fun. You see the interactions that she has with Gojo. Like, she's fangirling over Gojo. And I think what's interesting about it is that a lot of the audience can relate to her, because I'm not gonna lie, we all fangirled over Gojo.
Oh my
right
God.
Or wrong, right? So
that man. Ugh.
So when we see Kasumi, right, it's Kasumi in a way is like a representation of us all.
You know what? This is the thing. Kasumi is the self-insert of Jujutsu Kaisen.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean by the self-insert?
She's basically like, she sees Gojo and she's like, ah! I feel like everyone is like that when they watch Jujutsu Kaisen. So I feel like, in a way, that's not too inaccurate. When I say she's the self-insert, not like 100%, because she's still her own person, but kind of, yeah. I can say that I think it's like that.
It's interesting though, because I don't want to go and add to the whole she's useless trope, but you can remove her from the show and nothing would change. It's bad, but it's true.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like, we don't know if there have been characters that have been cut and they would have made everything different or not that different. I don't know. Like, for me, like, you remember this one guy in the forest mission who's like, I'm gonna make a coat rack out of Gojo.
Yeah.
That guy annoyed the fucking hell out of me. And I feel like they could have literally just used someone else.
They could have got anyone else, and that's the truth. Sometimes it's like you need those characters to advance story.
And that's the thing, though. Like, I feel like if you say that about Kasumi, I feel like maybe it's true, but at the end, like, that one character as well, it's like, if you want to remove anyone, remove this guy, not Kasumi, because she's still someone I like.
No, but what I'm saying is that there are certain characters that you could remove them from the story, and the story could still progress. Like, she's not integral to the story. She is, I think, she's like the assistant of like the school or something like that. And I think it's also because she, as a character, we don't see as much character development from her. We don't see her grow. So
yeah, we only see her like at some point. She's just there.
We only see her and her failures, and that's my issue with Kasumi. I love Kasumi as a character, 100%.
Yeah,
I relate to Kasumi as a character, but I find that she's kind of done dirty in the show, right?
Definitely.
Because she's shown as this weak character. She's shown as a useless character. She refers to herself as useless.
Useless.
So it's not good. I mean, for the audience, because the audience are going to see that and we're like, you know what? She is kind of useless. But I think there's a lot more to her character. And I don't know. I think that she's very intelligent. She's like, if you see her character, she's the only one that's in the meetings, right? I don't know if you've noticed that. She's in all of these high-level meetings.
Yeah.
Which, for her to be in these high-level meetings, she can't be shit and be in these high-level meetings. She's of importance.
Yeah, I think it's because you do see that she like does everything to like rank up, I guess, because she needs the money because she has like two brothers or three brothers.
See, this is it, Jacob. This is another trope, because guess what? I'm not going to be the guy that's like, oh, you know what? I'm going to point out every trope, but it's another trope in shonen, and I think when you look into Jujutsu Kaisen a lot deeper, you figure out that as great as the show is, it's just a bunch of little tropes that are combining together, because that whole point of I'm only doing this because I need money for my family. Guess what? There's a character in My Hero Academia like that.
Yeah.
Uraraka.
It's been a while since I've watched the first season. I've only seen the first season.
So Otaku, I think she mentions it in the first season that basically the only reason she wants to be a hero is that she can make money and basically make sure that her family is living well, right? So that sort of...
Love her, though.
Yeah, I mean, great characters, and it's very admirable. But thinking about it in a critical sense, it's like there's a lot of tropes in this show that sort of made its way. And because they're small, they're not like huge tropes. Because they're small tropes, they kind of forget about them, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Because once again, as you mentioned, this show is very good at balancing.
Yeah.
It balances the fighting with the comedic moments. It balances the tropes with unique characters. It balances things really well to the point that you kind of overlook its faults. And I don't know how to think about that because I've never seen a show like that. Do you know what I mean? The fact that it's balancing stuff in itself is very exceptional. But speaking of balancing, this is not even a correct segue, but speaking of balancing,
oh my god,
can we talk about Gojo, please?
Yes. Oh my god. Gojo, if you hear my wonderful, gorgeous voice, give me a call. I'll give Fish my number. Actually, he has my number, but it's okay.
He's a character, Jacob. We know this.
And what are you trying to tell me?
Well, you know what? He's a sorcerer, so I mean, he could make himself real.
Exactly.
That could happen.
Don't say he could make himself real. He's real.
You know what? It's weird that you say that because there are people in the community that are like that. Especially with Gojo. If you go and you chat shit about Gojo online,
who would do that?
But that's
First of all,
who would do that? No one.
First of all,
but imagine if you did. You're basically asking for a death sentence. I love Gojo. I know earlier on I didn't pronounce his name properly.
Yeah, you said Shoujo.
Shoujo. It's a
shonen manga and anime.
You know what?
Not the shoujo.
Okay, drop this, all right? Because I got his surname and his first name mixed up into one name. Okay. But yeah, Gojo, really nice character. I love. You know what? I will say something. Before watching Jujutsu Kaisen,
yes,
the one thing that I saw, I was scrolling through TikTok. And there was this one TikTok of Gojo, and it's like this lady in the background. It's like, Daddy.
That's
me. And I was like, why are people are thirsting over Gojo? Like, what is Gojo's appeal? And you know what it was? I did not notice it until I watched the show. And then he takes off his little mask, and he does like when he goes into like the different realms and shit. Yeah. I was like, oh, wow, Gojo. Like, I see it.
It's not even just like when he takes off the mask, but it's also the fact that he's usually like when you got like teacher characters, right? They're either like super strict or like they're somewhat strict, but they are always like also a bit dorky. Like you got Kakashi. He reminds me a lot of Kakashi from Naruto as well.
Jacob, is it because of the hair and the eye patch?
No, it's like not only that, but it's also character in a way.
Okay.
But with Gojo, it's even more so the fact that he pretty much never drops the comedy thing around his students. He very much does, like when he's like talking to, I don't know, like the counselor or something, but like he's serious. He makes fighting those curses fun for Yuji. You remember when he was like when he was like making him watch those movies, and then like he literally brought Yuji to the fight, and he acted as if it was like training or practice. He was not like, you have to take this seriously. He's more like, oh yeah, like this is, I mean, it's a special grade curse, but it's gonna be fine. That like he like manages to keep it up while at the same time knowing what the risks are. And I feel like that's so amazing. And he's like, he's not like this super strict teacher. He's more like, he's a fucking jokester, and that's what I love so much. Like, he's a jokester, yet he manages to like, he manages to like push his students so far to like reach their potential. And I love that. Like, have you ever gotten like a really strict vibe from him? Because I have not. I feel like he takes everything seriously, but he manages to do it in like a way where it's like, okay, my students will like actually do this.
So for me with Gojo, it's very interesting because no, I never really got a serious vibe from him. He does his work and he does it exceptionally. And I think it's also because he has the confidence that, that he knows he's well versed in, jujitsu. He knows what he's doing. And he knows that he knows that basically what he's going to do is no match for the curses, right? So he knows that. He's going into the battle thinking that it's been won already. It's kind of like, omae wa mo shindeiru, you're already dead type situation. It's basically like that. He's basically the Kenshiro of this anime. Ironically, I say he's the Kenshiro of this anime because, well, don't know if you know this, but he's voiced by Keiji Tang, who's also
of course I do. Did you forget that I literally told you that and you were like, wait, really? So like,
KG, if you're listening, don't listen to Jacob, he's lying.
Literally, I was like, wait, you didn't know Keiji Tang voiced Gojo? And Bish was like, what? I didn't even know Keiji was in Jujutsu Kaisen. And I'm like,
Keiji, I'm sorry. I haven't been keeping up with your roles recently. Say something. I know it's a bit off topic, but I didn't even know Keiji was the voice of Ichiban in Yakuza 7.
You did not? Oh my god, I can't believe you.
I didn't fucking know until like halfway through the game.
Oh my god.
And I'm like, oh my god, that's Keiji.
I can't believe you're such a lousy fan. Holy fuck! I knew that like even before the game came out.
Okay,
what
look,
the fuck,
I'm sorry, KG. If you're listening, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, bro. Look. Okay, back onto Gojo. Gojo for me reminds me of. He doesn't remind me of a teacher. He is a teacher, yes, but he reminds me of an older brother and an aniki, right? In the sense that he doesn't see his students as students. He has to teach them, but it feels as though he's teaching them in a way that an older brother would teach his younger siblings, right? He's preparing them for life, right? In this case, defeating curses, training them. He's making it fun for them, but at the same time, he has some strict rules. He has some structure, but at the same time, I can tell you from now, if I was I'm not an older brother, but if I was an older brother and someone came wanting to beat up one of my siblings, I'm going to jump in. Do you know what I mean, right? Yeah. So I would jump in and protect them. And you'd see Gojo do the same, right? Yeah. Gojo knew that all of this dome thing was a trap and that basically they wanted to get to him directly. Yeah. And yet he still went there. And yet he still fucked shit up. Because that's what Gojo is. Gojo, for me, is the brother figure in this show. And he's just an incredible character. Yes, he's laid back, but there's a reason behind it. And I think the reason being is because
he knows he's the shit.
He knows he's the shit. Like, if you compare him to the other teachers and the other teachers in the school, they're all very strict. And they're nothing, really. They're not as powerful as Gojo. I don't think Gojo's doing it in a point of arrogance. I think Gojo, because he knows he's strong, he has the ability to goof around.
He doesn't have to flaunt it either. Like, he's aware of it.
Yeah, he's aware of it, and he doesn't. It's not like he goes out and beats the shit out of every curse. He only does it for selected curses, right? It's as if those other curses aren't worth his time. Yeah. And that's why he gives the opportunity to Yuji for training, right? Mm-hmm. It just makes so much sense, and I think that's why I love Gojo as a character, because his character design, look, I will be honest with you, his character design did piss me off. I will say this initially.
Really?
Yes, because I didn't like the whole black coats, and And the fact that his hair was just standing up, like fucking Johnny Bravo, like that's what it reminded me of.
I mean, I want to hear your opinion. If you say it, I want to hear your opinion on Fushiguro's hair.
Oh, Megumi. I fucking love Megumi.
Because his hair is like almost the same, but it's just black.
Okay, look. It's not almost the same. What the fuck are you talking about? Gojo's hair is like standing up.
Megumi's is not? Hello?
No, Megumi has spikes in his hair.
He literally looks like a fucking pot plant.
Okay, alright, okay. You know what? It might be the white hair. I don't know what it is, right? It's just, there's something about Gojo that I didn't like. His hair, I didn't like his look. I didn't like the fact, I'm like, why the fuck do you cover your eye? You don't always need to. It's initially I thought, okay, maybe it's something with his eye that when he uncovers it, some shit happens, right? But there are scenes in which you see him fully without the eye patch and nothing happens. I'm like, what the fuck? It seems as though it's like this sort of, I don't know. It felt to me like I think you mentioned Kakashi before, right?
Yeah.
It's like initially, and this is before I watched Jujutsu Kaisen, I was like, this is the poor man's Kakashi.
Oh my, not the poor man's Kakashi.
It felt like budget Kakashi.
Oh my god, I hate
it was Kirkland, Costco Kirkland brand Kakashi.
Oh my god.
That's what it was. I'm being honest, that's what his character was to me until I saw him in the show.
That is so awful.
And the first time that he done that different realm switching and shit, like the paradigm shifts and stuff, it blew my mind. I was like, fuck, Gojo, my guy, like, what? And it made me think, like, Gojo could easily, because he's so OP, he could easily basically, like, destroy them. But why doesn't he? Do you know what I mean? Like, what stops him from just going in and just murking everyone?
Yeah.
I don't know why. Like, but yeah, in terms of other characters, I will say this, look, other characters, as great as they are, I mean, that's one of the highlights of the show, is just characters. I find that there's kind of too many characters at one point, if that makes sense. Would you agree with that?
I am not too sure about that one, actually. It's like, I mean, there's definitely a diverse cast of characters. I wouldn't say there's too many.
But we don't see, like, I mean, we, other than the tournament arc in the forest, right? We don't see much more about those characters afterwards, because it goes back to Yuuji, Gojo, Nobara, and Megumi. So I'm talking about specifically for season 1, and it's a downfall of the show, because great, there's a lot of characters and you need them for story, and these are very interesting characters, but at the same time it's like, great, we have them, but how much use are we getting out of those characters? Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? And because we're not getting as much use out of them, it makes me wonder, do we need them to progress the story, or is it just like padding out? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I said, I love character development in the show, but like there's certain characters that I don't know, like I love them, but it's either we see more of them, or basically, why did we include them?
I feel like...
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like this is like just like me speculating, but I feel like at least with the Kyoto characters, you know, like Mai and Toto, I feel like since they're like, can't necessarily say that they're like the bad guys.
Well, they're like antagonists, right?
But only for that one event. Like, not even like, because it's essentially like they help out the others, you know? Like you got them fighting and trying to kill Yuji, and as soon as shit hits the fan, they're like, okay, we're gonna stick together. So like, I don't see them as like the bad guys. Yeah, for a second they're the antagonists, but they switch pretty quickly, and I think because it turns out that they are obviously, at least with Toto, like acts as if Yuji is his brother from middle school. He's definitely, I feel like, of course this is just speculation, but I feel like we're gonna see them again in the future.
100%.
Of course, I get what you mean, though, with the first season, because it's like, yes, I don't understand why we didn't see more of them.
And that's like a fault for the show. Like I said, it's like the fact that a lot of the content feels as though it's setting up for a second season.
Yeah.
I get it, because without it, second season wouldn't be good. But then it makes you think, what if there wasn't a second season? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What if this show flopped and there wasn't a second season, but yet we got all of this character development? It's just a hypothetical. But you see my point. Like, that's why I'm not necessarily a big fan of that sort of thing within shonen. But regardless, you mentioned Todo.
Yeah.
I want to give my thoughts on him, but I want to know yours. What did you think of Todo? Because out of all of the side characters, he's one of my favorites.
Same.
If not my favorite.
Same. From the very beginning, I was like, when I first saw him, I was like, oh my god, what is this type of character? And then he like wants to fight Megumi. The first thing he does is ask like, what's your ideal type of woman? And I'm pretty sure not only me, but a lot of other people were like, huh?
That made me uncomfortable. Imagine if you're getting a street fight and or getting mugged or something, and someone asks you, why would I know that? Why would I want to share that?
Here's the fucking thing. I was like if I was in the anime, I would be like, I like men. Like, what would he say? What would he do? Would he be like, oh, I'm sorry, or would he be like asking me like, what's your ideal type of man?
I think he would respect that, and he would ask you, what do you look for in a man? And you know what? If you said a tall man with a fat ass, I think he would respect that.
Yes, he would. You know what? This is the thing. I'm not like trying to promote that I'm single, but no, just kidding. No, but like for real though, it's like I think what was so funny was the fact that he did not hesitate on like beating the shit out of Megumi after he was like labeling him as boring for like being like, okay, well, she needs to be kind or whatever, and that's it.
Megumi gave the answer that I'm into personality, and he got beaten the shit out of it. Like
exactly.
And because of that, I was like, I felt Todo was like a bit of a jerk. Like he felt like a typical Chad to me.
Yeah.
Because initially you don't understand why he asks the question, and then it's revealed to you because he was asked that question. And in fact, I think it was a woman that asked him that question.
A tall woman, by the way.
Yeah, and I think did she become his mentor or something or something like that? I think like he said like they I don't know, spent a lot of time together, which I guess like she took him for a ride on like her bike or something, because he beat the shit out of like cocky people or something. And yeah, I feel like eventually like she became like his I don't know if she was like his mentor, but I think she might have been like one of his best friends. And I think one of my favorite things about Todo is the fact that he's into, I think her name is Tanaka, the idol. The idol, yes.
Whenever he would like talk about her, and like I think it was the second half of the season when he would like have the thing where he was like thinking about her in the restaurant and stuff, and I don't know, for some reason it was just so funny to me. He was always like, she was always on his mind, and I love that he's like a die-hard idol fan, and like looking at like him, I don't know if you would expect that. I don't know.
No, the thing is, you wouldn't, because if I was thinking of an idol fan in Japan, I'm thinking of your typical otaku.
Exactly.
If you went into Google and typed in otaku, it's basically middle-aged man with glasses. Probably he's going bald. You know what I mean? It's not a positive image.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't assume someone like Todo, the way that he looks, the way that he acts, would be such a fan of idol culture, which is nice to see, because going back into it, it's one of the unique points of the show, because there are idol fans like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like me. Would you say I'm middle-aged?
No, I'm not saying you're middle-aged. I'm just saying you're not Todo.
I don't think you're right there. I am very much like Todo, not in every aspect, but I would say I'm like him.
Okay, all right.
I don't go beating up people though.
That's what I was gonna say. I'm like, are you obnoxious? Then you just beat the shit out of people on the street? Like,
I can be obnoxious, but I won't beat up anybody.
Okay, all right. So
unless you ask me to.
Okay.
And pay me for it.
All right. Who would pay you for that?
Oh,
Who would pay you for that? That's why I want to know. Anyway, going back on Todo, it's very interesting because he does formulate a bond with Yuji quite quickly, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's interesting that you mentioned the brother. It's going back to that Aniki thing, right? Again,
Yeah. Oh my god.
It's very family oriented, which seems
love
very
it, though.
odd. But they work together really well. They have a great sort of chemistry together because they're using each other's strengths and weaknesses, and they're using the clap power, you know, that kind of shit. And they're using it together, and they're beating the shit out of that curse. And I was like, yes, my boys. I respect them a lot.
Oh my god, him clapping all the time?
Yeah, it was very smart.
I love that.
One thing I do want to mention as well, and I thought it was a bit weird because I'm like, why did they even mention this? But in the beginning of the show, it's mentioned that there's a reoccurring theme that Yuji is a big fan of Jennifer Lawrence.
Yeah.
What is that about? What, genuinely, like, what is that? Like, I've never heard in an anime that they name drop real people. I've never heard that before.
I do remember, though, in Danganronpa they did.
Did they?
Yeah, in Danganronpa at least I haven't watched the first Danganronpa season, but I've played the game, so like I know. I think it was in Danganronpa 2 actually. You know Teru, the cook?
Yeah.
I mean, spoiler alert, but like he's the first killer in Danganronpa 2. And when he gets found out, he like loses his fucking mind and yells, Avril Lavigne!
Really?
And yeah, dude, what the fuck? Have you not played Danganronpa 2?
I played Danganronpa 2, but I do not remember that.
And like he like even in Japanese, he's like Avril Lavigne.
Do you think he's the type of person that believes Avril Lavigne is not who she is? Like, is she?
You mean like a shapeshifter or something like that?
Yeah, no, not shapeshifter. I think
like
people are
that,
saying
like
that.
Oh, she's got like replaced by a second person.
Yeah.
No, that's bullshit.
Okay. Well, moving back onto the Jennifer Lawrence, I thought it was so weird because it's mentioned at the beginning, then it's mentioned during the arc where he's watching the movies, which makes sense because, well, she's an actress, and then
with Todo,
and I'm like, what the fuck is going? Like, does the author really love Jennifer Lawrence?
I find it really funny when he was like in a way it's really weird how they were like he's like asking like what type of a woman are you into, and he's like, I guess I like girls with a fat ass like Jennifer Lawrence, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, I didn't understand that. I was like,
did you just say Jennifer Lawrence has a fat ass?
But the thing I don't get is, like, does Jennifer Lawrence know about this?
I have no clue. I mean, I don't know if they need permission for that.
Jennifer, if you're listening, please sponsor us, first of all. Secondly, if you are listening, which I highly doubt you are, but
Jennifer, I love you. Oh my god, loved you in the Hunger Games.
Oh my god. You know what? I know this is a tangent, but I think she probably hates people mentioning about the Hunger Games. She's much more than that. Let's be real. She is much more than the Hunger Games.
True.
You know what? I would like to see her do stand-up comedy. Anyway, that's besides the point. But it makes me think, like, what goes into that? Like, because there's even in his room there is a poster of Jennifer Lawrence. God, and I'm like, they name drop her. They animate her into a poster, and I'm like, she must have signed off on this.
Can you imagine them like just paying her like millions to like name drop her and have her like?
I don't think it'll be millions. I think probably a couple of thousand, but.
It would be so funny though.
Yeah, like
they're like, oh my god, can we name you? And she's like, what is this?
Are we gonna see her in the second season? Like,
oh my god, yes, Jennifer Lawrence, yes, let's fucking go.
Jennifer Lawrence guest appearance in Jujutsu
Jennifer
Kaisen.
Lawrence is my favorite Jujutsu Kaisen character.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, yes, Jennifer. Oh my god, Jennifer Kaisen, yes. Oh my god, word.
Jennifer Kaisen. What the fuck?
Exactly. Jennifer Kaisen.
Jennifer.
And they're all like from the second season on, they're called the Jennifer Sorcerers. Okay. Oh my god, yes. Work, bitch. Oh my god.
You know what? Yes. She's gonna be in the live action adaptation.
Oh my god, yes, and it's gonna be called Jennifer Kaisen Zero.
Jennifer Kaisen. That's what we're gonna watch,
fuck
actually.
Yeah.
That's the next. The next episode of Kunai will be Jennifer Kaisen.
Yeah, guys, make sure to tune in for Jennifer Kaisen Zero the movie.
Oh my god.
You're gonna love it, trust me.
Yeah, let's forget about Jennifer Kaisen for the moment.
And Shonen Jennifer. Instead of Shonen Jump, it's Shonen Jennifer.
Okay. You know what? We need to make merch. We need to make merch. Like, it's basically the Jujutsu Kaisen logo, and we change it to say Jennifer Kaisen. Oh, you know what? That is something. If you are a fan artist, please, if you love kunai and you want to make fan art, please make Jennifer Lawrence as a Jujutsu Kaisen character in that art style.
That would be so iconic.
And speaking of art style, I think that was a perfect segue, Jacob. Speaking of art style,
you're welcome.
What do you think of the art style of Jujutsu Kaisen?
It's so fucking good. It's oh my god. Like here's the thing. I was scared of the anime being like, it looks pretty, but like when there's like action scenes or like anything that's like not like the opening and the ending, there might be some, like some scenes where it doesn't look pretty. And they proved me so wrong. They proved me so wrong because it's so beautiful. It's so, and it looks so good, and you can even tell like the smallest details. Like they were like, yes, oh my god, the budget, baby. They definitely went for that.
I think, yeah, I agree with you. It's a pretty high budget. Remember, this is Mappa, the same people that are currently animating Attack on Titan, literally one of the biggest shows at the moment. So they're a well-established studio. They know what they're doing. Art style for me is pretty spot on. You see a wide range of emotions, facial expressions, and you mentioned detail. There are points where you can literally pause this show and you notice it in the school and in that little apartment building that they're in. Look at the floorboards. You can pause.
This guy is obsessed with floorboards.
I've mentioned it a lot in kunai and in Galp as well, oddly enough. But if you pause and you look at the floorboards, you can see the wood grain in the floorboards, which is insane.
Like the trees also look really pretty and stuff.
Exactly, they put a lot of detail into the show, and it shows.
You know what I even have to say? Like, you know how in most anime they have like those shots where like, those low quality shots where the characters have like look like fucking thumbs.
Yeah, they have that in the show.
Even those look good in Jujutsu Kaisen.
They do, but I think that they include them like that because it's sort of a meme. It sort of adds to the jokes, adds to the meme shots. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but even those look good. Like they don't just look like fucking thumbs with like a smiley face on their head. They look actually good, and that's what I love. And I mean like, of course I'm not like talking about those moments where where suddenly there's like a immensely different background and they're like swooning over somebody, like in a really weird way, and like they look kind of cheapy-ish. But I'm like actually talking if there's like a character in the background and they're like drawn like low quality because they're far away in the background, they still look good. That's what I'm talking about. Like they look like what lipstick in my Valentino white bag.
What?
Do you know that Vine?
I don't know that
Oh my
Vine.
god, I can't believe you.
I genuinely don't know. But yeah, you make a good point because I noticed it also in terms of the character design, and the character that I noticed it the most on, oddly enough, was Kasumi Miwa.
I thought you were gonna say Gojo because I noticed it on him.
Look, you notice it on Gojo, especially when he does like the whole transformation thing. I get that, but I noticed it even before we saw much of Gojo. I noticed it on Kasumi because I looked at her character and I was like, wow. Her hair is highlighted in such a way, it shimmers. And it's the same with her eyes as well. And I'm like, it's quite well drawn, but in a way that it doesn't distract from everything else. Right? It just fits with everything, right? Because sometimes there are some shows in which the backgrounds are pretty shitty. The characters are well drawn and the fights are well drawn, right? If you look like something like Dragon Ball, backgrounds in these shonen shows they don't really focus on them. But in Jujutsu Kaisen, your backgrounds are great. Your backgrounds are great. You can see, like as mentioned, the woods and stuff. You can see the lighting as, the leaves move in the wind changes. And it makes me think, was a scene like that animated in 3D to get that lighting in? But that's another thing. It's like, even if there was 3D animation, I don't know, because the animation was so good. Normally in anime, if you could tell that there's 3D animation being used, if it sticks out like a sore thumb, then you know it's not good, right? I'm pretty sure they used 3D animation, but I could not tell. And bravo for Mappa for doing that. That's just my opinion. Fucking love the animation scenes. The scenes with the fights were fluid.
Exactly.
No dropped frames. Because sometimes, in certain anime, when it's a little bit jittery, right? Or when you skip a frame, it takes you out of it. But I felt like when I saw Panda fighting and doing the transformations, changing into Harambe, when I saw that...
Harambe.
R.I.P. Harambe. We miss you.
Oh my god, fish.
But look, you know what? I'll tell you something. Me and my friends, every year on Harambe's anniversary, we go into central London and go out for a meal in solidarity and out of respect to Harambe. It started off as a meme, but we do it now every year. Obviously, we had to stop it because of COVID, but every
You've
year...
never invited me. What's up with that?
Well, you're in Austria. So come to the UK. Come to the UK for Harambe-thon. Harambe-con.
Harambe-thon. Harambe-con.
Yeah. Harambe Expo.
The next one is just PandaCon and
PandaCon, yeah.
Panda-thon.
That's part...
And Panda Expo.
That's part of Harambe. That's a spin-off of Harambe Expo.
Can we call it Panda Express?
We would get sued by Panda Express.
That's true.
They are a company.
It's not official, so...
Yeah, but No. Let's... Harambe Express. How about that?
Don't sue us, Panda Express.
No, don't. Actually, Panda Express, if you are listening, sponsor us. Thanks. But going back onto the point, even when we saw Panda's transformations and the fight scene, and you could see the fire in his eyes, stuff like that, or with Mekamaru in his room alone, and you get that single light that's just bathing down on him, and you see him in the shadows. I don't know how to explain it. The animation adds to the atmosphere, and I think also the music is a part of that as well. I don't know if you've really noticed the OST, but
yes,
there's a lot of creepy songs, like instrumental music that plays during certain scenes. I don't know, there's that one that sticks out the most is the transition scene. You know, when they do the Jujutsu Kaisen logo? Usually if it was being aired on television, they would put an ad break there, but it's that you know, that weird sort of clunky sort of piano theme. It makes me feel gross. It makes me feel like it makes me feel like I need to go and take a shower. It's something about the music, because you see that similar sort of clunky, creepy sort of piano playing in the later end of the episodes. I'm talking about episode 20 and beyond, during fight scenes. And I'm like, this makes me feel disgusted. It makes me feel intense. Which makes sense because this is a show about curses. This is, you know, that's what's supposed to, you're supposed to feel terrified. That music scares the shit out of me.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm going to piss my pants or anything, but it makes me feel uncomfortable. And it really adds to the atmosphere. It really adds to what's going on in the show, because when you start hearing that music, especially when something uncomfortable is going to happen, it makes you live that moment. And I mention it a lot. It's not the type of music that I'm going to go in on Spotify and check, you know, am I going to listen to this or not? No, I wouldn't listen to this on a daily basis, but it really added to the show. I don't know if you want to add anything else to that point on music.
Oh yeah, I do actually. I've noticed that, like, I don't know like what they're called, but there's a lot of songs that like start playing with like vocals, and I don't know. It kind of sounds like I think Lin, who also sang in the Persona 5 songs.
Yeah.
Sounds like her. Is that her?
I'm not sure actually. That's a good point.
I don't know if it was just like, I'm pretty sure there was like some other songs with like other artists, but I definitely remember hearing like songs that sounded like they were sung by Lin, or like someone who was like really like who had really similar vocals.
Possibly. I mean, I didn't quite notice that because I was just so creeped out. But what do you think about the opening and ending? Because to be honest with you, Jacob, I fucking hated it at the beginning. You see what I did there?
I think I liked it from the very beginning.
I hated it from the beginning, and do you want to know why?
Why?
Because it was on TikTok all the fucking time.
Oh, really?
I hate it.
Well, here's the thing. I don't use TikTok as much.
Well,
you know?
you're lucky that you don't use TikTok, because I was looking through it, like, I was like, why? This was during the hype of Jujutsu Kaisen, and it just put a bad taste in my mouth. And then when I actually watched the show, you know what? I was like, this is some good show. Especially the theme for the first OP. The second OP and the second ending weren't that impressive to me, but the first OP and the first ending, and this is where we go back to aesthetics, right? Where, you know, when you're talking about the costumes and like the shit that they're wearing and the way that it looks, right? You get that pastel colors at the end, and you got that great jazz that plays
God,
on.
I
and
love
I'm like,
that.
yeah, boy. But you know what? It's the stuff that they're wearing because they don't wear that in the show.
Yeah.
And it goes back to that whole Uniqlo style, because it's like, if I shop at Uniqlo, that's the type of clothes that I would want to wear. I want to wear that sort of...
Can I just say, in the first ending, once again, Gojo is so hot.
You know what? I didn't even notice Gojo in the first ending.
What?
I don't know why. I was just looking at Yuji dancing, and I was like, yeah, I'm vibing to this. Do you know what I mean?
No, you see Yuji, you see Megumi, Nobara, and
you know what?
Gojo.
I was focused more so on Yuji, and I think it's possibly because of the colors that they use.
Obviously, yeah, like he fits that perfectly.
Yeah, and it was great, and I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna really listen to this song all the time. I do have it on my Spotify playlist, but the main song. But yeah, I do listen to the opening on a constant basis because it slaps. It fucks, and I like it.
Yeah. Can I just show you a picture of Gojo in that ending real quick? I am such a sucker for Gojo.
Gojo, you're way more. Let's see Gojo.
And you know what the best part about him is in the ending? He's like wearing a shirt, and it's like a button-up shirt, but he's like not actually all buttoned up.
Okay, where's this picture, Jacob? I need to see it.
I'm sending it.
You need to send it quicker.
I'm doing it. There you go.
On, girl.
Look at him.
This is the thing. This is the fucking, like, he looks like fucking Johnny Bravo. Like, what the fuck?
He looks like a dad.
No, he looks like Johnny Bravo, Jacob.
No.
I can't respect him like this.
I'm gonna fight you.
Fight me. Meet me outside. Catch me outside. How about that?
Oh my god. Don't.
Catch me outside. How about that? Catch me outside. How about that? I don't like his look there. But you know what? I'm going to try and recreate it. I'm going to go to the premiere.
You guys, you've heard it here first. Bish has no taste.
Oh, that was rude.
You say he looks bad.
You know what? The more that I look at it.
Oh, now he wants to change his. Change his opinion.
Am I not allowed to change my opinion? Jesus.
How surprising.
Well, you know what? I didn't notice him before, but now I'm noticing him now, and I quite like it. Gojo is a fashion icon.
He is.
But you know what?
You should say it. We should all say it.
I just said it. He is a fashion icon. And all of the characters in this show are fashion icons. It's weird like that. Knowing that there is a second season, are you hyped for second season?
I'm glad that there's a second season coming, but at the same time, it's like, just like for this instance, I will probably not be simulcasting it because I'm not that kind of person. Okay. I literally always wait for like shows to like finish all their episodes and throw them out so I can binge watch them. That's the kind of bitch I am.
You know what? I'm actually excited for second season. Like you, I don't watch the second season until the final episode is aired because I do like to binge watch, and simulcasts annoy me sometimes. There's only a fair few shows that I am dedicated to simulcast, right?
Yeah.
Jujutsu Kaisen isn't one of them, and I think because Jujutsu Kaisen is a type of show, for me at least, that it works well when you're binging. It would kill me to watch this show week on week.
Yeah, me too.
I couldn't handle it because I want to know the next part of the story straight away. Obviously, there is the film coming out. Probably by the time this episode's out, the film would probably already be out. It would probably already be streaming on Crunchyroll. Probably already has a DVD out. It's called Jujutsu Kaisen 0. And I'll be honest with you, I hope that if they do a second season, that we don't get Jujutsu Kaisen 0 part of the second season, like a recap.
Yeah.
Because we've seen it with Demon Slayer, and we're seeing it a lot with a lot of anime that gets film releases. Basically, their second season is a recap of the film. Although I hear Jujutsu Kaisen 0 is like a prequel, so it should be good. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to second season of Jujutsu Kaisen. I will say this though, I really did enjoy it. I did bring up my gripes and grumbles throughout the episode. It's a great show. For those who are listening and who aren't necessarily into shonen anime, give this a try. Because it's one of those shows that is very thrilling, but at the same time, you don't need to dedicate a lot of brain power, because there's some shonen shows that are incredibly complex to the point where it gets really political, like Attack on Titan. I've gone to the point within Attack on Titan, I'm not watching it anymore because it's just too complex to get around the story, right? It doesn't make much sense to me anymore. But this is one of those shows that I feel like I can turn my brain off. If I had a bad day, I can guarantee that Jujutsu Kaisen is going to cheer me up, right? And I think, I wouldn't recommend this to someone that's new to anime, but if you are a seasoned anime watcher and you want something new, right? If you've never seen shonen before, maybe this could be the perfect entry point into shonen anime, because shonen anime, when you look at it, can be quite daunting because you've got long running series. You've got One Piece, Naruto, Bleach, you've got these big anime.
Isn't Bleach over?
Bleach is over, but it's coming back. So, but also Naruto's over as well. I mean, you got Boruto now. But my point is, if you want to join shoujo. If you want to watch shonen anime, it can be very daunting, especially with shows that have filler arcs and things like that. Jujutsu Kaisen doesn't have any filler arcs. That's another thing that I forgot to mention. So it's a great entry point into shonen anime, in my opinion. And I think if you've never seen shonen before, if you're someone like me that watches a lot of shoujo anime, see, this time, Jacob, I said it in the correct context.
Good.
But if you're someone like me that watches slice of life or shoujo or romance animes, and you want to transition into watching more shonen shows, then this is the perfect entry point. What about you, Jacob? Who would you recommend this show to?
I would recommend this to people who are of my age.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right.
I don't really know how to put it, but like, here's the thing. If I would recommend it, honestly, I would recommend it to anyone who, don't roll your eyes at me for saying this, but like, I would recommend this to anyone who enjoyed Naruto.
Okay. Yeah.
Because it's like, if it has like, I've noticed like similarities in like, you know how like in Naruto you got like the different. Have you ever watched Naruto like for a longer time?
I've seen a few episodes, but I don't really watch long-running series.
So in Naruto, there's also like, like ranks of like ninja. Like you got Chunin, you got Jonin, of course you got Hokage. Like you got so many ranks, and that kind of reminded me also of, well, the Jujutsu Kaisen rankings with like the sorcerers and the curses. Kind of reminded me of that as well. And I do have to say that in like, how sometimes in shonen anime you got like those protagonists that are like, they basically don't listen to the villain and their reasonings. But I feel like and they're like, you're wrong for doing this. And I feel like that is where Yuji is different. Like he will listen to the villains and he'd be like, that they kind of have a point.
You know what? That is something very similar to Demon Slayer, because you got Tanjiro, who after killing all these demons listens to their backstory. I'm like, what the hell? But yeah, it is something that's rare, but it's not something that's new.
Yeah, but I guess I would definitely recommend it to people who enjoy Naruto or Demon Slayer.
Okay, yeah, well, great.
And honestly, just like people who really enjoy like funky anime, because dude, I feel like I haven't seen an anime that's like groovy and funky as Jujutsu Kaisen in such a long time, where it's like they actually have a serious plot, but they still
have fun.
They still have fun with it, and still put that kind of really cool vibe into the anime, and I love that. Like I'm like a sucker for that, because it's like,
sorry to cut you, but it's a pretty it's a pretty versatile anime, because you're
versatile.
You're, oh my god, I'm remembering versatile. I'm remembering versatile. Anyways, looking into like, it's a very versatile anime in the sense that it attracts so many different types of anime watchers. You've got your people that want to get into shonen, you've got your shonen fans, you've got fans of supernatural anime, like if you're a fan of One Punch, or if you're a fan of Mob Psycho 100, because it's very similar in that sense of, exorcising demons, cleansing demons and curses and stuff like that. It's got that sort of supernatural flair to it. It's got that sort of psychological thriller as well. It's got so many different, it takes the best out of all of these anime and puts them together. And it might seem to some people like it's a bunch of tropes and it's a bit repetitive, but the fact that it's taking on all that stuff and still manages to be a great show and still manages to be a well-defined show says something about it. And I think really it just appeals to so many other people. But that being said, Jacob, I think that this was an excellent episode. Do you think so?
I think so. I think I'm such an inspiration, aren't I?
Yeah, you know what? You are an inspiration.
Thank you.
And I really do appreciate for you coming on this episode today. And thank you. But also thank you to you guys that are listening. And thanks to our sponsors, Japan Crate. Big thanks to Crunchyroll, because this episode wouldn't happen if it wasn't for Crunchyroll. Also, we're doing an episode on Jujutsu Kaisen 0 as well. That wouldn't be possible without Crunchyroll providing us with early access to the film. And also, tell us what you guys think. What do you guys think of Jujutsu Kaisen? Did you like it? Did you dislike it? If you want to share your thoughts on this episode or on this anime in general, come and chill with us on our Discord server by checking out getalifepodcast.com/Discord. We are a friendly bunch. You'll see me and Jacob on there. We can shit talk about anime. We can fangirl over Gojo. I was going to say shoujo again. Damn it. But you know what? We can fangirl over Gojo if you want. It's up to you guys. So please make sure that you join our Discord and that you support our sponsors, because once again, when you support our sponsors, they support us in turn. So yeah, that being said, I'm going to announce the next episode of Kunai. It is... Jacob, do you know what the next episode of Kunai is going to be?
I have no clue.
So Jacob doesn't know, but we are going to do Jujutsu Kaisen 0, but that's for the film. So consider that as its own separate episode. But the next anime series that we're going to cover on Kunai is long awaited. It is Denki Guy, the one and only Denki Guy. I don't know if you know about this, Jacob, but we meme about it a lot on Kunai. We actually cancelled. This was the first cancelled episode of Kunai, Denki Guy. So me and Will are going to take a shot at Denki Guy. There's going to be a lot of stuff going on in that episode because we're going to talk about the anime, but we're also going to talk about why the original episode failed. So that just join for that conversation in itself, because that's a wild ride. But yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Oh my God, I'm so happy I could be here. Oh my God, I'm so grateful. Oh my God, I can't believe that you had me on. I'm so honored. I'm so grateful. Oh my God, I feel like I just won an Oscar. Oh my God, I'm so happy. Thank you, Bish.
You're welcome. And
as
thank
you guys for tuning in. Oh my God, you guys are so hot, so sexy. I love that.
Oh, you know what? Speaking of sexy,
that's me.
It's a shame that Joe isn't here to say this. And I know Joe would hate me if I said this. So remember, guys.
Stay sexy.
Why you stole stay sexy away from me? That's Joe's thing. Don't take it away from Joe.
Well, you're not Joe, so I took it. Stay sexy.
No! I get the last stay sexy. Why are you doing this to me? You know what? Joe, if you're listening, tell Jacob that he can't do the stay sexy.
You're just jealous. Just jealous. You're just jealous of my top.
You know what? I don't have permission from Joe to say stay sexy.
I do.
No, you don't.
Prove
it. Prove it. I need to see receipts, because
Joe said it.
We're not ending this episode until we get confirmation from Joe. Okay, I'm messaging.
Okay,
Joe
here.
Now.
I'm gonna show you the confirmation right now.
I need to see this. Message Joe right now. We need to. No, that's not confirmation. Wait. Okay.
I'm gonna ask Joe. Okay.
Tell Joe that we're in an episode right now, and screenshot it. I need to see the screenshot. And this is live. We're not ending this episode until Joe gives us a confirmation that we are allowed to say stay sexy. And we need to know which person Joe wants to say stay sexy. So we need to figure that out. So Jacob,
I just messaged Joe. So
okay, well, you know what? I need to message Joe as well, but I don't want to message Joe, because then it would just be like Joe's just gonna get a shit ton of messages, and they're gonna be like, what the fuck? So we can't be doing that. So tell me when they respond. We need to see when Joe responds.
Yeah, I'm currently in the process of waiting.
We can't end this episode. We can't end the episode. This is kunai law. We can't end the episode until we get permission from Joe. Okay, so until we get permission from Joe.
Until we get permission, we're just gonna let the recording run.
We're gonna have to let. That's the rules. That's the kunai rules. We gotta let the recording run out of respect for Joe. Okay, so what we have to at least fill the time.
Okay, they're typing. They're typing.
Oh! I swear to God.
They said, "I'm sorry, but that's a sacred phrase."
Wait, so none of us can say it? Wait. Bring Joe into the call right now. We need to know. We're not gonna record the Joe part, but ask Joe if they could join the call. We need to know. Did you ask them?
They said they have a better idea.
What's the better idea? Please tell me Joe is going to provide like an audio clip of the Stay Sexy.
Joe said they have a better idea.
Okay, well, wait. Okay, what's the better idea?
I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this.
No. What do you mean you're going to say? You can't. If it's Stay Sexy, you can't say it.
It's not Stay Sexy.
So what is it?
I'll let you know. They're still typing something.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Does Joe know that we can't end the recording until Joe gives permission? Are they aware of that? Because we've wasted like 15 minutes, right? This is a great meme. I love it. Joe has banned us from saying Stay Sexy unless they are present. Jacob, why are you silent all of a sudden?
Because I am in a discussion with Joe.
No, you gotta bring Joe. You gotta bring me and Joe into this discussion. Don't be having private conversations with Joe that I don't know about. Okay, because the recording's still going. We can't end it. Wait.
I got Joe's permission.
No, you don't. This is bullshit. I need to see.
No, let me. I'm gonna do this. Okay, I'm gonna.
No. Bring
Joe. Here's the screenshot. I got the permission, you guys.
You could have photoshopped it.
This is not. Oh my god. Yeah. Let me Photoshop a fucking conversation in 2 seconds.
You were quiet for like 15
because I was
minutes.
Concentrated.
Okay. Wait. Okay. Okay. Let's read this out. Okay. That's a sacred phrase. That's what Joe said. So no one can say it. I've got a better idea. What is it? Stay horny. Well, okay. You know what? It's not the same.
No, keep reading.
Okay.
Don't falsify the the evidence.
I'm gonna say this. To be honest, you can't. What? Wait. I can't read. Can you read what Joe has said?
Joe said, to be honest, I know you can say this part was a joke, but I kind of like stay horny. And I said, okay, so I can stay sexy. Joe said, no. I said, I have your permission. Joe said, now you have to say stay horny. Executive decision. And I said, don't be like this. And Joe said, okay, fine, but it better be a damn good one. And I said, yes. Okay, so
wait, no, before
get
you do,
ready.
No,
get
no.
ready.
Pause.
Get ready
pause,
because it's
pause,
the best.
Pause,
it's the best.
No,
Stay sexy.
Pause,
you're gonna hear this.
Pause. No, it's not going to be. It's not going to be. Pause for a second.
Sexy.
No, we're not giving the stay sexy. Do not count that stay sexy. Sorry. I need to confirm
executive
with Joe.
decision.
Wait, that's not an executive. I don't think Joe is allowed to make executive decisions. Wait.
Fish is so mad.
I'm sorry. How are you allowed to say stay sexy, but I'm not allowed to say it?
Because Joe said I could.
Wait a minute. I need to verify.
Stay sexy, guys.
No, we're not. That's an illegal stay sexy. Don't
sexy.
Listen. No.
I'm gonna keep doing this until you say it's allowed.
Don't. These stay sexies are not legal.
Joe literally gave me permission.
You falsified that information.
I did not.
You did. You photoshopped it. I know you did. I know.
No.
You did. Look, invite Joe to the call. This is the only way that's gonna get resolved. Invite Joe to the call. Unless they verify, unless I hear it from Joe's mouth, I will not believe this. How do I not know that you've not hacked into Joe's Discord?
What? Yeah, I will hack into Joe's Discord for this.
I think
obviously, because I'm a fucking hacker.
It's very important. Stay sexy is the soul of kunai. It's the heart and soul of kunai. Okay, kunai was nothing before Joe and their stay sexy. Okay,
sure.
It's true. You can ask Joe.
I'm waiting for Joe to confirm to be added to the call.
Okay, I need to hear it from them. Otherwise, I'm not going to be satisfied. And I'm not going to end this episode. I'm that stubborn. We'll get this episode going for 3 hours, and I won't edit it out until Joe confirms.
Stay sexy.
No, Jacob, you can't be stay sexy.
This is
illegal. There's no document. You have no documentation.
I literally sent you a screenshot.
No, that's not. You could have falsified those documents. I need to see a certificate.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna take a screenshot of this on my phone.
Does not matter. You need to go to the American Embassy in Austria and get a certificate of authentication, right? And that says that Joe has given you explicit permission to have stay sexy privileges. Clearly.
I want to know what you smoked.
I did not smoke shit. I've been awake for the last 24 hours, and this is fucking hilarious.
That's what you smoked then.
I did not smoke shit. Okay, wait, do you think this is pissing Joe off?
No.
Okay, good, because I don't want to upset Joe.
But I'm waiting for them to tell me if I can add them to the call.
Yeah, I messaged Joe. I was like, Joe.
Oh my God, Bish.
Did you give Jacob stay sexy clearance?
Show Joe the screenshot.
I need to hear it from Joe's mouth. I am not gonna be. You could have like photoshopped this.
I am not good at Photoshop. I'm gonna be honest.
You could have falsified it. I don't know. Even if you didn't Photoshop it, you could have made another. You could have made another.
Do you
account.
know how many assets I would have had to use for this?
I don't know. Look. There is something on Kunai called the secret budget. There was a meme back in the day with the secret budget. I don't know if you remember that. You probably wouldn't, but there was a secret budget.
I was not filling in on this. No.
So yeah, we had the secret budget that only certain members could use, and I have a feeling that because you've entered Kunai now, that you have access to the secret budget, and you're using it to falsify documents. So that you can be the new stay sexy guy. Okay? That's some bullshit.
I got no fucking idea what the
Jacob,
secret budget even is.
You do not have clearance. You do not have security clearance.
And Joe did give me clearance on this.
No! Joe did not give you clearance. You falsified documents. Look,
Joe
you're gonna go to jail for what you've done, okay?
No, I'm not.
You are going to jail. Do not go past go. Do not collect $200. Go to jail. There's no get out of free jail cards, okay?
Joe can prove that
Joe is not gonna be able to prove your innocence. Jesus is not gonna be able to prove your innocence, okay?
Don't you pull God into this?
Okay, I'm just saying.
Don't you dare.
Gojo is not gonna be able to prove your innocence, okay?
Gojo is fictional.
Okay, well, not to some people. Okay, quick question. Do you think Gojo will be allowed to say stay sexy? I think he could pull it off.
Because he's hot as hell.
Oh, you know what? This isn't going to be included in the podcast, but if we get KG on,
he's going to say stay sexy in Gojo's voice?
I hope so. That's what I'm planning on.
Oh, so you prefer KG saying it over me? I see how it is.
You know what? I need to get security clearance from Joe. I need to. See, oh my God, we're gonna keep on this recording for such a long time. Jesus.
Joe still hasn't replied to me.
You know what? I think Joe is just fucking with us now. Did you tell Joe that we're not gonna end this recording until? But Joe's online. God damn it, Joe. Why you do this? Okay, do you want to just stay? Do you want to say the stay sexy and we end this episode?
I was ready to do that the entire time.
Okay, do that. We end the recording, and then because this is gonna go on.
They're typing. They're typing.
Okay, wait.
It shows that I'm playing Bravely Default.
Oh, Fuck off, Joe. Joe, this is important. Just join. I need you for a fucking second.
Joe said flip a coin or something, but I won't,
No.
so I'll say it. Stay sexy.
Until bathroom break.
No, you said bake?
Bathroom break. Ooh, that sounds fucking rank. Jacob, what the fuck?
You said bathroom bake.
No, you heard bathroom bake.
No,
okay?
you're gonna hear it. You're gonna hear it.
This isn't Great British Bake Off, all right? Bathroom bake. What
Oh
the
my
fuck?
god, I hate you. Don't.
I hate you more.
I'm also gonna take a piss. Oh, this is gonna go in the bloopers. I know it.
Jacob is using the bathroom because he's gonna, what was it? Bathroom bake. Dame, dame, dame yo, dame nano yo.
Sure.
Anda ka, suki de, suki de.
Oh my god. Oh my god. What are you doing?
Baka mitai.
Baka mitai.
Baka. Oh, baka. I'm joking. Let's get
Yeah,
back
you
into the
are.
episode.
Of course you are.
Yeah,
I know.
Alright.
Alright.
What were we talking about again? We were talking about...
We were talking about my sexy fat ass.
Okay. But we were also talking about Jujutsu Kaisen. How was your bathroom bake?
Shut the fuck up.
Whoa. I didn't do anything to you.
Would you like to know?
Yeah, I would. I would like to know.
This guy's asking me about my shit.
Yeah. You took a shit?
No.
No, I was about to say, I was like, what the fuck? Like, how would someone take a shit that quickly? We were only gone for like 2 minutes. What the fuck? Girl. That's fucked up. Okay.
I'm golden medal at the Olympic.
No, there is no Olympic.
At the Olympic shitting.
Would that be Summer Olympics or Winter Olympics? That sounds like a Winter Olympic sport.
Oh my god, I'm not getting into this debate.
I am getting into
No.
this. So at the Olympics, is this like a Winter Olympics or Summer Olympics? But yeah, other than that, would you like to see a second season?
Yes, oh my god, I would love to see a second season.
Okay, you don't need to do it that fake. I just mean like,
oh my god, bitch, of course I would. What is that question? No, for real though, I would love to see a second season.
Mm-hmm. Who aren't necessarily into shoujo. Who aren't into shoujo.
Shoujo.
Shoujo. Why the fuck am I saying it? Why am I saying shoujo anime? Fuck.
Because of Gojo.
Because of Gojo. Gojo is on my mind. But yeah,
Same.
if you're...
I would record. I would definitely. Oh my god, I can't speak. Holy fuck!
And the funny thing is, this is the end of the episode.
You've cursed me with your shoujo curse.